Hey, welcome in everybody. Let's turn this down real quick. Glad to have everybody on board today. Chiefs win. Big game. How about that, huh? Chiefs win today, 41-10. Took care of business over a just absolutely not very good Chicago Bears team. And, sometimes you need what they call a little bit of get right. And your Kansas City Chiefs got some get right today to the point where you were able to pretty much rest your effective guys, the important ones, at the very beginning, midway through the third quarter. And that's always a good thing. So what a day. Look, sorry we missed you guys last week. And then, of course, shout out to my boy Joey Christopoulos from Believe in Chicago and Bet on Chicago. Rough week, rough day, rough everything if you're a Chicago Bears fan right now. And, of course, look, ain't no telling what's going to happen with the Chicago Bears. There was a report out this morning that essentially they're still unsure as to whether or not Justin Fields is going to be their guy. And, of course, if you watch that game today and if what you saw today is any indication, it doesn't look like he's going to be there, or it doesn't look like he should be the guy anytime soon. Just rough from the get-go. Justin Fields, a whopping 11 of 22, 99 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Of course, that one touchdown to DJ Moore was in garbage time there at the end of the ball game today. So, meanwhile, let's, real quick, one other thing. Please, for the love of God, can Pat Mahomes please don't ever get hurt, okay? Please don't ever get hurt. I get it. It was with the backups and what have you, but Blaine Gabbert, who completed almost as many passes to the Chicago Bears as he did to the Kansas City Chiefs today. Our boy BG, 3 of 5, 31 yards for 2 picks. Now, in fairness to him, one of the interceptions actually bounced out of the hands of Rashee Rice. Let's get to Rashee Rice here real quick. Look, after what we saw out of – hold on one second. After what we saw out of the last 2-3 weeks out of these Kansas City Chiefs guys, or out of the receiving corps, more so to speak, Sky Moore today, we'll take a quick look at what he did. Oh, you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. Hold on. Okay. Let's figure out where this is coming from before we. Okay, there's that. All right. So, Sky Moore, decent game today. Six targets, 4 catches, 42 yards. Got open, looked good running routes today. MVS, Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, 1 catch for 37 yards. Big play in the third quarter. Should have had a touchdown. Juwan Taylor, we'll get to him in just a second. Of course, Travis Kelce. Of course, the big news today was that our girl, one Miss Taylor Swift, in the house today. And, of course, when Travis scored the touchdown there in the second half, as you're going to see, if you haven't seen already, all day today, let's fucking go is what she had to say. And, looked pretty good doing it. So, on the day, though, Patrick Mahomes, 24-33, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, not sacked one time. Getting back to Juwan Taylor, had the costly penalty there in the second quarter that cost them a touchdown where, Mahomes found a wide open MVS. And, of course, it was a illegal formation penalty. You got to believe that that's got to get fixed, especially now here in week 3. Clearly after week 1 and everything that went down in the Detroit game, and much was made of that. And then, of course, here we are in week 2, had 5 penalties against Jacksonville last week, already had 2 more today. So I got to believe, and we know with Andy Heck and that offensive line group, that will be corrected, but that needs to get fixed sooner rather than later, because the last thing the Chiefs need is to have big plays thwarted, especially in games that are going to, I'd say this game didn't matter, but in close affairs coming up, and you just can't have that, especially when that's your big $80 million guy that you spent all that money on, and he can't even get lined up right. So I got to believe that the Chiefs are going to take care of that when it's all said and done. Isaiah Pacheco, would have liked to see another touchdown out of him. Why? Well, that's just me being selfish because I've got him in fantasy. But, hey, I'll take the one touchdown, 15 carries, 62 yards. Still hasn't had that just huge breakout game yet, so to speak. Looked better, ran hard today. I think he also had a couple catches as well. Yeah, 2 catches for 16 yards. So decent day all around for number 10 from that standpoint. I'm just glad to see that you had somebody that wasn't the quarterback leading the team in rushing today. So well done by Mr. Pacheco. Rashee Rice, let's talk about him real quick. 7 targets, 5 catches. And, of course, of those 7 targets and 5 catches, the two that he didn't catch, one at the very beginning of the game bounced off his hands, and the second one that our boy Gabbert threw to him bounced out of his hands, led to an interception. That being said, Rashee Rice, two catches that he got down to the 1 yard line, so looked good doing that. This is a guy that I think as the season continues to wear on, I think he could be your best all-around wide receiver before the season's over. I think he's got a little bit more speed than he's got a little bit more speed than Sky Moore, got a little bit more wiggle than Sky Moore. So I do think that he can be a major player as the season wears on. Like I said, I think if he can continue to get the trust of Patrick Mahomes, I think this is going to only get better and better for this receiving core. This is still a group, though, that, again, for as great as our boy Travis Kelce is, and we know that he is, still he's getting, still getting into I'm not going to say he's getting into playing shape, right? I mean, it's not like he didn't miss training. It's not like he missed training camp or anything like that. I mean, he only got hurt 2 days before the Detroit Lion game. But there's just still something. And again, he looked better today. Definitely looked a lot better today than he did against Jacksonville. But there's still something to me, again, maybe a step slow. Now, look, that could be because he's 34 years old. But I do think this team is going to need to still make a move before the trade deadline. I don't know that you're going to win the Super Bowl or the AFC or get to the AFC Championship with the current receiving group as it's currently constructed. So, because again, when Jawan Taylor isn't lining up in the backfield, and when Donovan Smith, who actually had a pretty dadgum good game today, when you put those two do what they're supposed to do, and of course you could argue the Chiefs have one of the best, if not the best, interior line group, center guard in all the National Football League. They're tough to beat. And when you give Pat Mahomes time, and he had a ton of time today, and again, that's not to say that, look, the Bears, we know what the problem is with their offense. Their defensive coordinator gets fired or quits this week, whatever you want to call it. Still trying to figure out what the hell that was all about. Eberflus called plays today, but that's a tough ask in a short amount of time. It was an emotional week for this team. It was just you couldn't have. I mean, from a Chiefs standpoint, you couldn't have asked for a better situation for a get-right game. The Bears look absolutely abysmal from start to finish today. They look like a team that may not win a football game the rest of the year. Now, again, it was a tough week, and then, of course, you go to Kansas City and, just get abused from start to finish. But that being said, there's still something about this wide receiver group that is sorely lacking. And, again, it's kind of like, look, Rashee Rice is right now a number 2 or number 3. Sky Moore is a number 2 or number 3. I put number 2, and I say that generously. Kadarius Toney wasn't even out there today. His litany of injuries continued. In fact, I'm at the point now where when it comes to Kadarius Toney from here on out, anything you get out of him is going to be a bonus, okay? In no way, shape, or form can you count on Kadarius Toney in any significant role for the rest of the year. So that being said, MVS is not a number 1 guy, right? So right now, essentially, look, we've heard of closer by committee. We've heard of running back by committee. Well, the Chiefs are doing wide receiver by committee. And again, Travis Kelce's still that number 1 guy, and you can do a lot worse than have Travis Kelce as your number 1. And still how that guy gets open in the way he does is still mind-boggling to me. But what a performance again by him today. But like me and Tab were talking about earlier today during the first half of that game, you need to have somebody, a go-to number 1 wide receiver, and I'm just not convinced. And it's not a slight to anybody on the Chiefs receiving core. I just don't know that any of them are going to morph into being that number 1 guy, and I just don't know that that's their deal. So we'll wait and find out as the season goes on. One of the guys that I do like, and I've been saying this on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheFreddieD. I've been saying DJ Moore could be somebody. Now I think he's got a $17 million cap hit, but there's ways to salary cap gymnastics to work that thing out. So we'll see how that works out. I've also been a big proponent of saying, look, whether it's somebody of, whether it's a D-Hop, whether it's a Kyle Pitts, whether it's a DJ Moore. Those are all guys that are languishing in their current spots, and I got to believe it can be had for a second or third round pick. I'll let you guys figure out how the whole money thing works. And, of course, extend a guy here, cash a guy's deal in there, convert it to a signing bonus, and that'll take care of that. One more thing, and like I said, we'll wrap it up because there really wasn't a whole lot to get to today. And like I said, we'll talk about this later on in the week. Chiefs have the Jets coming up this week as well, so we'll get into all that. But like I said, we'll dive in heavy on the upcoming game, and we'll touch more on it as the week goes on. But big shout out to the defense as well. Once again, you had Chris Jones got himself another sack. So through 2 games, he's got 2.5 sacks, and so he's well on his way trying to get that Skrilla for those incentives that he's got in his contract as well. Also, too, Drew Tranquil looked good today. Trent McDuffie had some moments. Mike Dana is a guy that continues to shine and flash a little bit from here to there. So I was impressed with what I saw out of him. And you know what? A guy that I was not crazy about when the Chiefs took him, and not because he had anything to do with him going to K-State, and I'm a Jayhawk, but our boy Felix Uzoma, again, continues to wreak havoc out there, and I was impressed with what I saw out of him today. So that's going to do it. Just again, a quick abbreviated version of the Chiefs post game today. Glad to have you guys all on board. Once again, follow us at the Freddie D on X and IG. Also, too, make sure you subscribe to Chief Studios. That's subscribe to Chief Studios on YouTube. We've got a big week of programs coming up. And then, of course, like I said, sorry we missed you last week. We will definitely make this a regular go from here on out. So once again, thanks to everybody for tuning in today. This has been the Chiefs postgame show. Once again, the Chiefs take care of business 41-10 over the Chicago Bears. We'll get you ready for next week when they travel to the New York Jets and take on the Jets, Jets, who also looked equally as horrible today as the Chicago Bears did. And if I didn't know any better, I would think Zach Wilson and Justin Fields were the same people. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to give us a follow. We'll see you around. Enjoy the game tonight.